Imagine a small island wrapped in fog, absolute silence, and icy waters. Now imagine a lonely church where no one dares to enter after sunset. Locals say that at night, footsteps echo without a body, bells ring on their own, and shadows move where nothing should exist. And there is something even more disturbing. No one can stay there for long without feeling like they're being watched. What happened on Viðey Island to turn a simple church into one of the most haunted places in Iceland? Are these just legends, or was something awakened there and never left? Iceland is a land shaped by fire and ice, active volcanoes, black lava fields, cutting winds, and a folklore as old as the Icelandic people themselves. Here, the supernatural was never treated as fantasy. Elves, spirits, and restless dead have been part of local culture for centuries. And it is in this setting that we find Viðey, a small island located just minutes from Reykjavik. By day, Viðey seems calm, almost beautiful. Green paths, historic ruins, and the distant sound of seabirds. But at night, the island changes. For a long time, Viðey was a place of great political, religious, and social importance. In the 18th century, it was home to one of Iceland's most powerful figures, Scully Magnusson, who transformed the island into an economic center. But power, influence, and wealth almost always leave deep marks, and sometimes curses. By the heart of the island stands a simple, austere church, built to serve faith and hope. Today, it is known for a very different reason. Icelanders avoid calling it by name. They prefer to whisper, the church where something was left behind. Strange reports from Viðey are not recent. They stretch across generations. Fishermen who docked on the island claimed they heard low chanting coming from the church, even when it was completely empty. Night guards reported doors opening on their own, and the sound of pews being dragged across the floor inside the temple. But the most common and most terrifying account is that of the silent figure. Witnesses describe a tall shadow, motionless, standing near the altar. It doesn't move, it doesn't speak, it only watches. When someone tries to get closer, an overwhelming sensation takes over the body. Shortness of breath, dizziness, absolute panic. Some say they heard a voice, not in words, but directly inside their mind, ordering them to leave. Curiously, historical records indicate that unexplained deaths occurred on the island during times of famine and epidemics. Bodies were buried in haste, often without proper ceremonies, especially in moments of desperation. According to ancient Icelandic beliefs, when the dead do not receive the correct rituals, they do not rest. And the church on Viðey may have been built upon layers of pain, fear, and regret. Workers involved in modern restoration projects claim tools vanished and reappeared in impossible places. One of them refused to continue after hearing a single heavy knock coming from inside the altar, while completely alone. There is also the phenomenon of the bell. The church bell is not connected to any automatic mechanism. Even so, nearby residents report hearing it ring on windless nights, always at irregular hours, never in celebration, never in sequence. just a single lonely toll. Paranormal researchers suggest that Viðey may be a point of spiritual retention, where extreme emotions became embedded in the environment. Others believe the entire island functions as a threshold, a space between the world of the living and something far older. And then there is the detail almost no one talks about. On certain winter nights, when the fog completely covers the island, faint lights can be seen inside the church. They are not candles, they are not lamps, and they vanish the moment someone tries to get closer. To this day, no official investigation has managed to explain these phenomena, and perhaps it never will, because some places do not want to be understood. There comes a moment when every legend stops being just a story and becomes an experience. More recent reports speak of visitors who chose to ignore the warnings and remain inside the church after nightfall. All of them describe the same pattern. First, absolute silence. No wind, no birds, not even the distant sound of the sea. Then, the feeling that the air grows heavy, as if breathing itself requires effort. The inside of the church seems to shrink, as though the walls are slowly closing in. And then, the footsteps. They don't come from outside. They don't come from behind. They echo from above, as if someone were walking on the ceiling, matching every movement of whoever is inside. One witness reported that when they looked toward the altar, the shadow began to form again. This time, however, it was not standing still. It tilted its head. In that instant, all the lights went out, and a single sentence echoed inside the visitor's mind, clear, cold, and final. This is not a place for the living. When the person managed to leave the church, they were in shock, crying, unable to explain how much time had passed. The clock showed only a few minutes, but to them it felt like hours. Since then, no nighttime access has been allowed. The church remains open only during the day, and even then, few people enter, because those who have been there say something unsettling. The feeling is not that the place is haunted, it's that it is aware. The church of Viðey does not scream, it does not bleed, it does not move, it waits. In a land where the supernatural was never separated from reality, perhaps the real question isn't whether something inhabits that place, but why it is still there. Are they souls trapped by the suffering of the past, an energy imprinted by forgotten deaths, or something older, awakened when men chose to build faith upon pain? We may never know, because some doors, when opened, do not reveal answers. They reveal only how small we are before the unknown. And perhaps the true mystery of Viðey is not what appears in the darkness, but what remains watching when no one is looking. If you believe certain places hold memories that were never meant to be disturbed, leave a like. If you've ever felt watched in a place that was completely empty, share your story in the comments. And if you want to keep exploring legends, mysteries, and locations that challenge reality, subscribe to Urban Secrets, because not all secrets were meant to stay buried, and some are still waiting to be discovered. Until the next mystery.